Hello, welcome to Odds on Serie A match day 32. We have now Napoli second in the standings after beating Milan in a very tight game, and of course the fight for the Champions League. I would add Atalanta actually to the mix, especially if they are able to beat Juventus in this weekend. Leo Bachanian, hello.
Hello, Edu, and yes, and the one who is suffering because now is even Atalanta in the mix is Roma, because they were trash in San Siro. A very, very good Inter we have seen against Roma in that 5-2. Disappointment a little bit with the 0-0 of Como and Udinese, or Udinese and Como. Juve took advantage of that. What to say about Napoli winning a crucial game against Milan? So it was a good match day 31 in Italy, I would say.
Ruin Yoraka, this Udinese Como, indeed. We saw also Lautaro back scoring a brace. Lautaro, top scorer of the competition, 16 goals. I'm sure all Argentinian fans are hoping for his best in this end of the season. Well, let's analyze everything in Italy League, the Mafia League. Well, but still, of course, we have so many good teams, so many good players. So let's try to make some money and analyze what is going on in Italy. So, of course, leave your comments. Let's go on now with the show. And you mentioned the problems for Roma in the introduction. Is the Friday game. We have Roma Pisa 6 in the standings, only 1 point above Atalanta and 4 away from Como. Another defeat again against a top team is 11 defeats this season. This is a lot for a club like Roma, also out of the Copa, out of Europa League against Bologna, a winnable tie. That one, many problems for Gasperini, although I guess, Leo, against Pisa, they should get the 3 points at least.
Yes, they should, but as you mentioned, 11 defeats is too much. That is 6 more than Como and 5 more than Juventus. It's too much when you are pursuing a Champions League spot, Edu, and it's crisis time for Roma. The 5-2 was painful, to be honest. Once a team that made us believe months ago that it could, why not, challenge for an Scudetto, a team that made us believe that the top 4 finish was in their hands, from that to a team that we are not even certain now that they will play European football next year, not even Conference League, because as you mentioned, Atalanta is just 1 point behind. You add to that Lorenzo Pellegrini's injury after scoring in San Siro made him not available for a couple of weeks. You add to that Gasperini's future is now very uncertain. Also that negotiations with some players' contract have been put on hold, like Cristante or Gianluca Mancini, and what you get is crisis. There's no other way to describe it. There is also protests being organized before Friday's game. The main target, of course, continues to be qualification for the Champions League, but the recent form is very poor. 3 defeats in the last 5 matches have thrown everything into doubt. Some supporters are even saying that Mourinho was sacked for less than what we have seen in the last 2 months. Roma was swept away by Inter. Of course, it's not easy to concede after 40 seconds or to concede right before halftime. When you made the effort of getting back into the game, but there are no excuses for the second half we have seen. It was a debacle. The third goal knocked them out, and from there Roma was only suffering and waiting for the final whistle. Sule was back after 2 months, but looked rusty, and that's understandable. And more than anyone, Gasperini and Roma are missing Manu Kone in midfield. He gives you defending balance in midfield, and also someone who can get to the box, like someone Gisa, for instance, in Napoli. There are now 2 home games to start a quick rebuild for Roma. Now Pisa and then Atalanta, which could be crucial because a week after that, Juventus will be playing Milan, and this weekend Como plays Inter. So there is a chance to shorten the gap there with the top 4. and Pisa will arrive here at the back of one more defeat. It's 8 in the last 10. Might take Edu, and despite the crisis, is for Roma to win. I'm gonna go for Roma Asian handicap minus 1.5 odds of 2.
Gasperini should go if he doesn't make it to the European spots. I agree. I would say even Roma should target the Champions League spots. But it's going to be very difficult indeed. Another disappointing season for La Lupa. And I don't know how many years we are saying the same, but indeed, I think sacking Mourinho for sure was a mistake. De Rossi, so I would point higher, not only to the bench if we want to blame someone. Next game is important for the relegation battle. Cagliari, Cremonese, 3 points between these two teams. Cagliari in crisis, lost to Sassuolo, to Napoli, 4 consecutive defeats, winless in 8. And Cremonese is still outside the relegation thanks to the win a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago in Parma. How do you see this one?
Oh, this is an interesting one, Redu, and what a 6-pointer, to be honest. We talked last show that despite the win at the Ennio Tardini, the only one in the last 17 games for Cremonese, they were far from being favorites to get anything from the game against Bologna. It is 8 defeats in the last 10 for them, the same record than I just mentioned for Pisa, but the difference being that they're still out of the red zone because of goal difference. But they could be into very turbulent waters if they don't start quickly getting something out of their matches. However, I believe that for Cagliari, even if they are 3 points above the relegation, Edu, is not all better than for Cremonese for them, because they're winless, you said, in the last 8, 6 defeats in that run, scoring just 4 goals. But when you look at their fixtures, the following 3 games after Cremonese, they have Inter, Atalanta, and Bologna. And the last match day of the season is a trip away to San Siro to face Milan. So the situation is critical for the Sardinian. It's going to be a very nervy game. The reverse fixture finished with a draw, which is something that they will both be all right to take, I believe, beforehand. But if Cremonese score first, then be careful. The pressure could be big on Cagliari's player. As I said, the draw is one to grab for me at 3.2. 3.2 is not bad at all. But I will be a little bit more conservative here and take the goals market, the goals under 2.5, odds of 1.6.
Looks good indeed. Draw for Okagbare as well. Goalless draw, 1-1. Also, David is going for an under in this game. For Saturday, we have Torino. Verona, Torino now safe. They are 9 points away from the bottom 3. It was key, the win against Pisa. Before that, Parma or Lazio, for instance. Perhaps they can also beat Verona. This is what we expect, and be absolutely safe for the rest of the 2 months of competitions, Leo.
Yes, absolutely. And did they do the job against Pisa? For sure. Yes, they took the 3 points, but they were far from convincing. Pisa, actually, to be honest, was quite wasteful, and they capitulated to that late Che Adams goal with 5 goals and 2 assists for the Scottish this season. And so far, anyway, Ricardo Roberto D'Aversa, since taking over, Edu, is 3 wins and 2 defeats. He has steadied the ship with the Granata now, as I said, 9 points above the red zone, and with 5 other teams also sandwiched between them and the start of the relegation places. Against Pisa, D'Aversa had Cesare Casadei back and playing half an hour in the second half. Casadei was once tipped as the future of Italian midfield. However, his stint at Chelsea did not help, as I said, his development. He was on loan, I remember, in Reading, also in Leicester with Maresca. But we were far from seeing the best out of him in Chelsea, and he arrived to Torino trying to find the consistency he didn't have in England. So far, mixed results on that for Casadei. But for a team that lost Samuele Ricci to Milan in the summer, I think he has the conditions to establish himself as a starter for the Granata going to the next season. And with D'Aversa, Casadei also should get understanding and patience, because D'Aversa knows how to work with young players. He worked with Kulusevski in Atalanta Primavera. He worked with Bastoni as well. And for Verona, here is same as with Pisa or Cremonese, another 8 defeats in the last 10, same as with Pisa and Cremonese. Last week, Fiorentina broke them in the last with less than 10 minutes to go. Verona has scored 3 goals in those last 10 games, and on the road is 4 defeats in the last 5. There is not much from me to expect from this Torino Verona, to be honest. My take here, Edu, is both teams to score no, odds of 1.73.
Okay, something similar, David. Torino clean sheet, Torino to win 2-0 could be some other options for this game. And then we have Milan Udinese. The Rossoneri lost the second spot of the table, 4th defeat this season in Napoli, quite poor offensively in the attacking line, and I guess they have to worry for the 5th spot. At the moment, the Udinese could be dangerous. They drew with Como. They beat Genoa away. I wouldn't touch the really low odds for Milan, 1.5, Leo.
Yes, Edu. And to be honest, they can only blame themselves for the situation. They won the derby 3 match days ago to reduce the gap with Inter to 7 points. From there to here, Milan took 3 points out of possible 9 with defeats with Lazio and Napoli. At the same time, Inter took 5 points. So from a best possible scenario of trailing Inter by just 3 points, to see the gap being even bigger than after winning the derby, and also seeing Napoli overtaking them in the second place. But they deserve this. They were very poor at the Diego Armando Maradona, never had the intention of taking the game into Napoli's half. We have seen that only after Politano's goal that Milan was really pushing, and they struggled all game to test Milenkovic-Savic. Already by the start, I think we were all puzzled to learn that the attacking partnership was Fulkrug and Nkunku. We had not seen that partnership together before. Probably anyway down to some fitness level, because Pulisic arrived late from the USA. Leao was out for 2 weeks and had less than, I think they were saying in Italy, 3 training sessions last week. There is no Milan striker in double digits. Leao 9 goals, Pulisic 9 goals, Leao 5 goals, Nkunku 5, Fulkrug 1. In the second half, we did see Leao and Pulisic and Santi Jimenez, who hasn't even scored all season, coming on the pitch. Pulisic, as I said, well, he had a strong start to the campaign, 8 goals and 2 assists in the first 11 matches, but in the following 13 games he played, he only provided 1 assist. He hasn't scored yet in 2026. Probably if it wasn't for the winter mistake before Politano strike, the game would have finished 0-0. But as much as Allegri insists that they never focus in the Scudetto and the objective is the top 4, even that could be in trouble if they don't take a more leading role during games. Milan plays, yes, Udinese now at home, and they are favorites in my view. And afterwards, although I wouldn't go X1 as much as I see them favorite here, but then they will face Juventus, Sassuolo, Atalanta. Milan cannot afford to face Juventus with the 4th spot at stake. Udinese, we know how unpredictable they are. They showed it again with Como. They did not win, but they stopped the sweet run of wins for the leg side. It's 2 wins and 1 defeat in the last 5 for them. The last time they visited San Siro this season, they took the 3 points. That was against Inter, of course. For them to leave a game with the 3 points, the odds are very high at 8. But my take here, even if Milan wins, I don't expect them to trash this. Udinese Asian handicap plus 1.5, odds of 1.71.
Really good odds indeed. Remember, you win your bet even if Udinese lose by 1 goal margin, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take any points from San Siro. This anti-football by Allegri reflects the attack so much. He's not changing anything. It's just such a same. David is telling us from a Milan supporter. So let's see if they are able to make it at least to the Champions League. They have 6 points margin with Juventus, so be careful. And on Saturday, the best game is Atalanta-Juventus, indeed, for the Champions League spots. Only 4 points between these two teams. Atalanta are now on the mix after winning the last games. It looks like they've improved after being knocked out from the Champions League. They beat Lecce, they beat Verona, and they play Roma next. So important week for La Dea. Juventus also bounced back, Leo, beating Genoa after the draw with Sassuolo.
Yes, Edu, it's going to be interesting one, this one, of course. We had that preview in the Coppa Italia quarterfinal when Atalanta had probably one of the Atalanta this season, or especially under Palladino, 2 very special nights. One was that 3-0 in Coppa Italia against Juve, and the other one, of course, the 4-1 against Dortmund in the return leg of the Champions League last 16 playoff. For Juve, more important than the 3 points to move just one behind Como. That was more important than the performance, I would say, against Genoa. And to be honest, at this stage of the season, if you are fighting for a Scudetto, for the Champions League, or to avoid relegation, results are what matter the most. The first half was good for Juve. They taking the initiative, attacking constantly. Actually, before the 20th minute, they were already winning 2-0 with Bremer and McKennie. 9 goals and 4 assists in all competition for the USA midfielder, and for me, the season MVP for Juventus. But in the second half, they were bailed out by Michele Di Gregorio. He saved a penalty with 15 minutes before the end, and then he had another few crucial interventions. Di Gregorio had to come on the second half because Mattia Perri got injured. He's been dropped, Di Gregorio, for Perri in the last 4 games, and this weekend he took his turn to be the hero in the end. On a very good night, Di Gregorio can be Buffon sometimes, but the problem is that in many other nights, his standards are not those, and that's why there are rumors of Juventus trying to get the goalkeeper, to sign a goalkeeper this summer. Spalletti was super. Spalletti, yeah, one of them is, but it's Dibu Martinez, although Inter is also apparently trying to get the Argentinian. Spalletti was admitted very, very annoyed with his player. He said he doesn't know what to expect from them, even though he's been there since October. But it's true, it's not acceptable to have such a good first half and then to drop the standards completely in the second one. There was concern with Vlahovic, another injury for him. This time, not even by getting onto the pitch. He got injured or felt something during the warm-up. So we will see if he travels to Bergamo to face this Atalanta that had no problems dispatching Lecce. They scored 3 and could have been 4 or 5. Nikola Kristovic, who's taking again the place of Scamacca, who is injured. He scored against his former team. 9 goals this season for Kristovic. I think it's a good return. Raspadori came on the second half and scored his second goal in the last in 6 games since arriving from Atletico. They won 2 consecutive games, Atalanta, for the first time since mid-February, and they took the advantage of course, of Roma defeat to put pressure on them. It was in February also when they won that 3-0 that I mentioned before against Juventus. This fixture is one to expect goals. My take here is goals over 2.5, odds of 1.91. That one, combined with the both teams to score yes, could even take the odds up to 3.2, but I will be fine with goals over 2.5 on its own.
I think there is massive value on Atalanta. They are the underdog for this game. I'm very surprised, especially playing at home. Double chance for Atalanta is 1.66. Really good odds. Our smart bet tool is going for even higher odds. Atalanta to win the first half is 3.8. A lot of value. You can see also going for the double chance that I mentioned, Atalanta or draw, or just Atalanta to win. 3.2. We have some comments. Benson going for a draw. 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗘𝗥 also going for a draw, and some other greeting you, Leo, your lord. He's saying, Captain going for Atalanta to win. I think indeed this is a very good game to bet on with really good odds for La Dea. So let's see if we enjoy this Atalanta Juve Saturday evening. For Sunday, 4 games, Genoa Sassuolo is the first one, almost nothing on stake here, just Genoa trying to grab some points to be absolutely safe. Now they are 6 points over relegation after defeats with Juve and Udinese. Sassuolo still doing well, Leo. Beat Cagliari, drew with Juventus. Still, the Rossoblu are favorites for this game.
Yes. Well, for the Verdinegri, they're on a good form. They won 3 and lost 3 of the last 6. Although the last 2 consecutively, and they will face this Sassuolo side that is absolutely on form. I wanted to mention them. The winning 3 and losing 3. That is for the record for Genoa. But Sassuolo, Edu, is 6 wins and drawing 1 in the last 10 games, so that is a great return for them. Genoa has no reasons to panic as Cremonese and Lecce, and we could add Cagliari to that mix with more urgent worries, of course, than them. And let's not forget as well that Genoa still has Pisa to play against, Fiorentina and Lecce, so opportunity for them to grab points will be there. But this one still is interesting to watch. It's going to be not big, but interesting for Genoa, how they do recover. I said it before with you, but they had a chance of getting back into the game, but they missed that penalty in the second half. It's difficult as well when you concede after just 4 minutes, as it was the case for Genoa. And then after 17 minutes, they were already down to 2-0 in Turin. And for a team like Daniele De Rossi's one, without a big squad, if you are missing one of your best players, everything will always get a bit more difficult, and that was the case with the midfielder winger Brooke Norton-Caffey, who suffered an injury with the England under-21 and could not travel to Turin. It was against Sassuolo in the reverse fixture that we have seen Daniele De Rossi having his first game as manager in Genoa, and that night Genoa actually got the first win of the season. But this time the momentum is with the Verdinegri, and the X2, Edu, the double chance for Sassuolo shows good odds, and that's going to be my take. Sassuolo double chance 1.7.
Okay, Genoa too short. Indeed, could be a draw. The draw could be a good option here. I don't see also Genoa favorites. Next one is Parma Napoli. Here, of course, Napoli favorites 1.7, 5th win in a row after beating Milan, second spot, almost qualified for the Champions League in a bumpy season with so many injuries. But I think at least the goal was the top 4, and they are going to reach it. And Parma winless in 5, but still Leo far away from relegation, 8 points.
Yes, it was a great night for Napoli, and couldn't be more differences with Milan, to be honest, because they wanted to win from the first minute, and Milan did not show any of that desire. Napoli started the game in 3rd, Milan in 2nd, but Allegri talks of his team not being involved in any Scudetto fight, whereas Antonio Conte keeps saying that they will try to defend the Scudetto, even if we know that is almost impossible. Before the game, the news were not the best for Napoli because Højlund came down with a stomach bug and the night before and could not take part and Conte gave Giovanni his first start as a makeshift striker. This Napoli, which is now second, is doing so without as well Di Lorenzo, Ramani, Neres, Vergara, 5 players who are almost all regular starters, or they were regular starters at some point during the season. But despite those absences, Conte managed to start for the first time in many months the likes of 𝗗𝗏𝗧, Lobotka, McTominay, and Kevin De Bruyne. And in the end was Matteo Politano making the difference coming from the bench. And he had a moment to smile after the disappointment with the Nazionale. Talking about the Nazionale, Edu, Conte said that if he was overseeing the Italian Federation, he will give himself a chance to manage Italy. I think that is the strongest possible hint from him to say that he would like to take the job. De Laurentiis already said that he won't be in the middle if they come to look for Conte. The problem with Conte is who's going to be able to pay his salary, because let's remember that in 2014, when he took the Nazionale job, it was Puma, the sponsor on the time, the one paying a big chunk of Conte's salary. And financially, the Italian Football Federation is not doing great. So that's the only concern I have. Other than that, I think Conte will be a great fit to be back with the Nazionale. Someone who looks to Conte is Carlos Cuesta. His Parma mirrors Conte's 3-5-2. For Parma was a positive draw in the capital against Lazio, although there was some disappointment probably because Lazio equalized with 15 minutes to go. And they are now 5 without a win, but still overall a good performance, a type of performance they needed if you want to stay in Serie A, which they will. 8 points above the red zone, although, as I said last show, Roma's fixtures are nothing to celebrate because they have Napoli, Inter, Roma, and Como to play still for them. My take here in this Parma-Napoli is going to be a straight 1x1 Napoli to win, 1.67.
Napoli wins and both teams to score. Also, 𝗗𝗏𝗏 is telling us. And let's go to the next one, Bologna. Lecce, here with Bologna focusing in the Europa League. They have a tie with Aston Villa, so be careful if you are betting on them, since the life is on stake for Lecce. They are in relegation after 3 defeats in a row. Last one 3-0 with Atalanta. 5 defeats in the last 6 games. Is also very hard to back Lecce, even if they do need at least a point, Leo.
Yes, Edu, but it will be important, and it's good that you mentioned the Europa League game for everyone trying to take benefit on this Bologna-Lecce, because against Cremonese, Italiano started almost his best 11, so I have doubts we will see the same team 3 times in a week. On the weekend, they did not need much to get the 3 points against Cremonese. The game was done after 15 minutes. João Mario and Rowe scoring at the start of the game. João Mario has been a revelation for this Bologna, and they will be wise in trying to get him this summer as he is on loan from Juventus. He has delivered as a right back, as he played against Cremonese. He delivered as a right winger too. Italiano even used him at the left back some games. And for Jonathan Rowe, his goal was only the second one of the season, but after very difficult start in the first semester, 2026, he's resembling a little bit more the player we saw in Marseille. Playing at home has been far from good for Bologna. 3 wins in the last 15 in all competitions. But I will be surprised if Lecce also assaults the Renato Dell'Ara. With Atalanta last weekend, they were not a competitive side we've seen even on defeats in the last few months. The 3-0 could have been even worse. They will play knowing already the result of Cagliari-Lecce, so they could start the game 3 points from safety, when now they are just on the red zone, only on goal difference. Away from home, 8 defeats and 1 win in the last 10 for Lecce. But look, with Bologna rotating and thinking on the second leg with Aston Villa, with Lecce probably not pushing from the start to avoid running from behind very early in the game, I believe the match could open if opens on the second half, That's why my take for this Bologna-Lecce is first half draw, odds of 2.1.
Good one. Lecce to win. Benson is telling us 2-3, a bit risky, but of course Bologna will be thinking in the Europa League. They are so far away from the 7th spot in Serie A, and they have a good chance to qualify for the Europa League semi-finals. And the late kickoff on Sunday is a great Como Inter, with Como fighting for the Champions League spots, 1 point ahead of Juve, despite the draw with Udinese, 5 wins and 1 draw in the last games. And Inter, as you mentioned, they bounced back after the defeat in the derby. Lautaro back, Çalhanoğlu scoring beautiful goals. And remember, we have also this game in the Coppa Italia very soon.
Yes, Edwin, that's going to be a very good semi-final second leg between Como and Inter. This one is the match of the weekend for me in Italy, one of the best to watch as well in Europe this weekend. That's 0-0, a shame that stopped the great run of those 5 consecutive wins for Como. And the other 0-0 they had in the middle of this great time was that first leg of the Coppa Italia semi-final with Inter, which was also played at the lake. Like that game with Inter against Udinese on Monday, Como did not create practically goal-scoring opportunities apart from 1 or 2. That was the most disappointing from the performance, I would say. A game in which neither Udinese or Como could find the space. It's very tactical, a bit boring, to be honest. But at the same time, it is impressive that Como completed their 15 clean sheet of the season. That's something to praise from them, because we usually talk about the attacking football when we talk about Como, but 15 clean sheets this season is amazing for the best defense of the Serie A. Juventus winning has now cut, of course, the gap to just 1 point. That defensive masterclass that is being this season for Como is going to be put to the test with Inter, because remember as well, the reverse fixture, Inter trashed them 4-0. If Como is the best defense, Inter is by far the best attack, of course, in Italian football, having scored 30 more goals than Napoli and Milan, and 18 more goals than Como. Fabregas was quick to point that Roma, Napoli, Atalanta, and Fiorentina all lost in the Fruliani's home, but even their own players must be disappointed with that draw. And on the other hand, Inter had one of the nights of the season against Roma. Amazing return of Lautaro, scoring a brace. Emotional night for Bastoni, Barella, Di Marco, who received the love of the Inter supporters. We also saw that Marcus Thuram is underrated player at times in this side. He had a great night assisting Lautaro from the start and also scoring himself. On many occasions, it's Thuram who takes the man away and opens space for the Argentinian. The goal of Çalhanoğlu for the 2-1 changed the game mentally, and the second half was all about Inter. Di Marco has made the case, I said before, of being Serie A's MVP this season, but with Roma, it was great to see back the best of Denzel Dumfries on the right wing back. We are heading, hopefully, Edu, here to see a great game. I don't think it's going to be as close as with the Coppa Italia. Both teams to score, yes, is something to consider at 1.7. But I believe there is great value for me here in Inter to win. That is my take. Inter to win, odds of 2.2.
1x for David. First half draw also possible. Como to win. So many people here trusting Como, and the smart bet is also going for Como. Leo, first half win for Como. And of surprise to see all these people backing the home. And let's check the last game on Monday.
Yep.
Fiorentina, Lazio got a very important win against Verona, now 5 points away from the bottom 3. Remember, playing conference against Crystal Palace on Thursday, 4 games undefeated in Serie A. And Lazio surprisingly dropped points with Parma.
Yes, everyone. To be honest, I'm surprised that Serie A puts Fiorentina to play on a Monday again when they have the Conference League 72 hours after. I mean, it happened already and not so long ago when they won 4-1 against Cremonese and they were playing in Poland 3 days after. It doesn't make any sense, to be honest. David De Gea was the man for La Viola last match day. They had to thank him for the 3 points against Verona. But as I said before, performances can't wait for the next season. What matters now is to get the results needed, and Fiorentina has opened 5 points with the red zone. Never before this season they had that luxury. It was Niccolò Fagioli, for me, one of the top 3 best players for La Viola this season, the one scoring the winning goal. His second goal this season, but 2 goals that counted for 6 points for Fiorentina, because Fagiolo scored against Como away to win, and now this one against Verona. Fiorentina on match day 33 will play Lecce away, so these are huge days for them. Although, as I've been saying, they will be safe by the end of the season. And Lazio continues to enjoy this undefeated run. Now 4 wins. Now is 4 games undefeated with 3 wins. They won again points from losing positions, something that they have been very good this season. They won points from losing positions against Torino, Genoa, and now Parma. And on Monday, the second half was good. The first one, we saw Lazio moving the ball probably very, very slowly, not creating chances. This is not going to be the game of the weekend, or it should not be. The odds on both sides are good, but I'm looking at the goal market here, Edu, and it's under for me. Goals under 2.5 for this Fiorentina Lazio, 1.67 my take.
𝗗𝗚𝗦𝗏 is going for another draw. Many draws.
Yeah.
This match day could be a good option indeed. Well, this is it, match day 32 in Serie A. Remember, we have our tipster competitions going on. Good chance to win money with Oddspedia. There will be a tipster competition for the World Cup, so stay tuned. You can see now in the website, we have up there our new hub for the World Cup. So with many news, unfortunately, no with Italy, but with many other teams. And check out also rivals. There you go. Join contest or create your own tipster competition. Safe bet, Leo.
Roma Pisa, goals over 1.5, also 1.29.
Aka?
Amayaka, Atalanta, Juventus, goals over 2.5, Napoli to win, Inter to win, these 3 together, 6.76.
Thank you, Leo. See you next week. Bye-bye.